Out of all of the principles we hold dear at ARBC, that are all formed by our faith, the principle of radical hospitality is one of the most important. It is also one of the hardest. Sure, we might think that some aspects of culture in the southern United States give us a natural reputation for hospitality. We're supposed to be taught by our parents and grandparents what hospitality looks like, at least in the home. Whenever someone comes to your house, you're supposed to do everything you can to possibly make them feel welcome, to make them feel right at home. We are taught to put their needs ahead of our own, to offer them the best seats at the table or even in front of the television, to always offer anything that we can to help them be nourished. And even our children are supposed to be taught that when you have a guest come over, you should let that friend choose what game you will play, or what toy you're going to play with together, or even what movie you're going to watch. You're supposed to show deference to your guest. You do everything you can to honor your guest and to make them feel welcomed and at home among you. Our faith teaches us to go even further. Hospitality isn't simply to be offered to someone who is a guest in your home, or even just someone whom you know. It is meant to be offered to everyone. After all, it was Jesus who taught us that we are supposed to love God with everything we have and all that we are, and the most important way that we could ever do that is by loving our neighbor as we love ourselves. And who did Jesus say was our neighbor? Well, everyone. And that is what makes the love and hospitality that we as people of faith are called to offer so radical. It is meant to be offered to literally everyone. There are no exceptions. It could be someone who is exactly like you, with whom you have a natural comfort or relationship. It could be someone that the world tells you you're supposed to despise because they are nothing like you. It could even be an enemy, or someone who would try to do you harm. Jesus tells us that we should love everyone, because the love of God is so radical that it loves us even when we are unlovable and unworthy of God's love. We receive grace anyway, and God makes a way for us to experience what we would call abundant life. And as those who are recipients of God's grace, it is our job to reflect that love of God to the world by working for others so that they will experience abundant life too. So at ARBC, we say that all are welcome, and we mean it. We were able to name this as one of our core principles because when we listened to the stories of the members of our community of faith, we heard time and time again how this church had welcomed people immediately. They welcomed me just as I am, we heard them say over and over. No questions were asked. Again, because that is what we have experienced, we work to make sure that that is what others experience when they are with us too. Our faith in Christ and the love and welcome we have experienced from Christ and His church teach us to see the world differently. It reveals what is really going on. As I heard one pastor say, it pulls back the veil to reveal that the entire world truly is the theater in which the glory of God is on full display. And we see that not only in the natural world around us, but especially in the people who are around us. There is apparently a Jewish tradition that says that if we could truly have eyes to see the world as it is, in front of every person we encountered, we would see an angel of the Lord marching out in front of them, announcing, "Make way for the image of God. Make way for the image of God." We are all made in God's image. We believe that in Christ, all are made new creations as well. We also take to heart the passage in Matthew 25 that tells us that the way that we treat others, especially the way that we treat anyone who is in need, is exactly how we treat Jesus. I saw a church sign that expressed this sentiment very well. It said, quote, "All are welcomed as Christ." It seemed to speak so clearly to the way that church felt about the people around them. In the spirit of Matthew 25, it seemed to communicate that when anyone is with that community of faith, they receive a welcome that is exactly like the welcome that they would offer to Christ Himself. They would treat anyone in their presence even like Christ would treat them, because that is exactly how they had been treated by Christ and by His body, His church. That is the kind of spirit we want to cultivate at Augusta Road Baptist Church as well. We want to be the kind of neighbors that Christ taught us to be for each other and our wider community. We want to make sure that everyone knows that there is a place where they can feel welcomed and loved in Christ's name. We want to make sure everyone has their needs met, and even when we cannot meet those needs ourselves, we partner with incredible people and incredible organizations in our community who can point everyone to the resources that they need. We are constantly learning what it means to put our whole hearts into this effort. And the goal is to build relationships with all people that bear witness to the movement and the transformative work of Christ's Spirit in the world right now. And we embrace our city with the affirming love of Christ by working to make our community look more like God's kingdom has come and God's will is being done because it is being done through us all. We are working each day to understand and live out radical hospitality. We know that as we do, we are growing closer to God and our community, and we might have a chance to partner with God to help others experience life more abundant and free. Whatever you have going on this weekend, maybe it would be a good idea to spend some time contemplating the radical nature of God's love and all the ways that others have welcomed you, invested in you, and shown you hospitality as a reflection of their faith in Christ. Maybe we could all set an intention to be a little more radical in the hospitality that we show to others in the days to come. Who knows? It might just help to change the world.